Yep, and so this is kind of just a small thing I ended up working on because I know obviously with the E2E test or E2E push, there's a few tickets in there. I'm like, oh crap, we have nothing to use for those, or it's kind of painful. So basically the thing I wanted to fix was that we have this very nice external request utility for like being able to simulate actions of other users by hitting the API. The only thing that is kind of a pain in it is that you need to enter in the credentials, you need to give it like the URL and path, you have to kind of construct and handle the API request yourself, which is kind of not fun. And I was trying to add something for the channel or for the category meeting, but I ran into a case that I knew we were going to have to do more of with the upcoming weeks. I made this utility. Basically, in this case, it is having another user add you to a channel. And I didn't want to write all that stuff. I'm like, hey, we have an API client. We could just use the API client because that has all the endpoints, has all the paths, etc. It's much nicer to use. And so I've added this makeClient utility, which I'm kind of proud of because it basically gives you an instance of the client, but then it goes in and overwrites the internal stuff. So instead of just having, because this is run in the browser still, instead of having the browser directly hit the API, which would be what your current user is doing, which is what you don't want, it instead uses Cypress to go into the backend, and from the Cypress backend, do a request for another user. But at least at least how you use it on the browser or on the front end on the browser side in the tests is exactly the same as how you'd use it in any arbitrary project. It just basically pretends it's the client and then calls this other thing. So this should be hopefully very helpful because I know going through, we were kind of estimating the list of like our remaining tickets for the E2E push. And there were quite a few that were like, have another user do this, have another user do that. And this should hopefully make it easier because instead of having to remember API routes and what the endpoints take and all that nonsense, you can just use the client for interface. So yeah, that's it.